Welcome back, writers and world builders, to today's Explainer seminar. Let's just jump right in, shall we? As a longtime professor of dark fantasy literature, I've got to tell you, I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's text. We're looking at adapting the truly terrifying Goet figure of Balaam into a masterclass of psychological tension for your own novels. Whether you are plotting out a sprawling fantasy epic or maybe a really tight, dark political thriller, there is just so much to unpack and learn from this ancient archetype. To set the mood, listen to this evocative opening passage straight from our source material. The oracle did not live in a temple. It waited beneath the ruined arena, where old kings once fed traitors to bears and called the screaming justice. Wow. Notice how quickly that just instantly establishes a mood of absolute dread and ancient consequence. It's a great reminder that true prophecy in our stories isn't some gentle gift from the heavens. No, it is a weapon. It's forged in the dark, and it almost always demands a heavy toll from anyone brave or, frankly, foolish enough to seek it out. So here is our game plan for the explainer today. We'll be covering 1. Anatomy of a monster, 2. The three-headed oracle, 3. The curse of invisibility, 4. Prophecy as a weapon, and finally 5. Writing the unseen antagonist.
Moving right along to Section 1, Anatomy of a Monster, Building the Beast.
Now, Balaam is historically defined by this incredibly crowded iconography. If you consider his traditional Ars Goetia roots, he's listed as the 51st spirit, a great and powerful king commanding 40 entire legions. But unlike a lot of spirits who are defined simply by the specific magic they grant, Balaam is really defined by a stack of intense, deeply conflicting symbols. As the text notes, these composite animal parts create a sense that he is less a person and more a moving, breathing omen. When you are building out your own pantheons, you've really got to lean into an evocative color palette to unify your dark environments and build that psychological tension. Just picture it. We have ember red, bare black, old bronze, smoky gold, bone white, and storm gray. Imagine your protagonist descending into a dark, ruined underground chamber. The torchlight flickers, reflecting off the ember red, flaming eyes of the beast hidden away in the shadows. This precise use of color emphasizes the sheer terror of a monstrous presence and a prophecy that simply cannot be unseen. It's not just a monster, right? It's a whole mood. And think about how these specific components work together. You have the furious bear mount representing unstable power and primal rage. That's your massive physical ground force. Then, contrasting that completely, you have the hawk carried on his fist, offering this incredible distance and high aerial precision. Finally, the serpent tail curving behind him brings stealth, danger, and deception. It is a perfect duality. You have the creeping, invisible survival of the serpent paired with the high-altitude, piercing vision of the hawk, and the whole shebang is riding on the back of brute violence. All right, Section 2, the three-headed oracle, divided perception. For any of you novice world builders tuning in, you'll want to notice how these aren't just random monstrous bits glued together for shock value. Not at all. They are 3 distinct modes of perception and power, unified by those blazing, flaming eyes. The bullhead sees the world through blunt force and endurance. The human head navigates through cold reason, intelligence, and speech. And the ram head pronounces doom with ritual certainty, sacrifice, and stubborn command. So the real kicker here is that Balaam gives layered truth. When your protagonist finally gets to him seeking a simple yes or no, Balaam delivers animal truth, human truth, sacrificial truth, serpentine truth, and skyborn truth all at once. His wisdom is so ancient and so dangerous precisely because it utterly refuses simplicity. It drops a massive moral weight onto any seeker. Just imagine writing a scene where these three heads speak over one another, giving the exact same truthful answer, but with entirely different, terrifying implications.
On to Section 3. The Curse of Invisibility, Moral Isolation. Let's talk about his magical domains. On one side, invisibility offers physical safety, the ability to evade enemies and survive an ambush. Sounds like a great superpower, right? But look at the terrible cost: social erasure, disappearing from accountability, shame, and human connection. Being unseen isn't about freedom at all. It's a terrifying descent into moral isolation. Characters who walk in the unseen world slowly but surely abandon their moral accountability to the people around them.
As writers, I really want you to ask yourselves this Socratic question for your protagonists. When no one can see you, what kind of person do you actually become? If your protagonist could observe their political rivals completely unseen, how long until they become utterly addicted to that surveillance? Invisibility tests whether a character genuinely values justice or if they merely value their own safety. Let's dive into Section 4, Prophecy as a Weapon, Manipulating the Court.
The source text mentions that Balaam grants wit. But to be clear, we aren't talking about cheerful cleverness or cracking a quick joke. Balaam's wit is pure survival sarcasm. It's ruthless strategy and the sharp ability to see danger long before anyone else does. Balaam empowers characters to manipulate their rivals simply by revealing a single perfectly timed secret or by making a guilty person vanish at the absolute worst possible moment to sow maximum chaos. Because you see, he is the absolute master of observation. He sees the old wound, the present lie, and the future consequence in one single glance. Unlike a gentle prophet in a standard hero's journey, Balaam has zero obligation to soften the blow. He leaves the listener completely ruined by the interpretation of a perfectly accurate prophecy. The tragedy isn't that he lies. The tragedy is that he tells the absolute truth, and the characters just don't have the moral fortitude to handle it. Finally, Section 5, Writing the Unseen Antagonist, Practical Tools. Here is a fantastic template for balancing those perfectly accurate prophecies with completely devastating consequences. The Unseen King's character dossier spells out the core archetype and primary conflict. It ensures the seeker's temptation to know everything and then move unseen through the consequences becomes their ultimate trap. You can use this exact structure to make sure your antagonist's motivations remain wonderfully complex and morally ambiguous.
Our source provides several brilliant short writing prompts based on this. I highly recommend you try out the three-headed answer hook. Picture this scenario. A desperate queen approaches Balaam asking how to save her failing kingdom. She receives brutal advice from the bull, cold, rational advice from the human, and heavy, sacrificial advice from the ram. And the truly horrifying part is that all three answers are devastatingly true. Which one does she choose? Or consider The Wit of the Vanished, where a character uses supernatural wit and invisibility to expose political corruption, only to realize his words are starting to predict deaths before they even happen. I am going to leave you writers with this chilling final thought from the sample story to guide your own dark fantasy tales. The curse was not that no one could see Arlen. The curse was that Arlen could still see everyone. The ultimate psychological toll of being an unseen observer in a political conflict is that you can never unsee the truth of the world. Once you know every lie and every betrayal, how can you ever trust anyone again? Use that tension, use that isolation, and make your readers feel it. Happy writing, everyone.